Hey everybody, welcome back to Battle Ready Inc. So this week's match was Black Edamon versus my green Sarismon control deck. So we saw how that played out, and so now I want to give you the deck profile, give my in-depth thoughts on my kind of line of thinking of certain inclusions, as well as just kind of overall strategy. I think this deck has a pretty good matchup against most things in the meta. It's very fun, it's very control heavy, so if you like the control heavy style of decks, this is definitely going to be one for you. Also, don't forget this month's memory marker is going to be Yaomon here. This is the baby form of Impmon as well as Beelzemon and Beelstarmon. So if you're playing purple or getting ready to play purple for BT5 to come out when we get Zwart, as well as for BT6 when we get access to the Musketeers deck, you're definitely going to want one of these guys for your purple decks or your 3 Musketeers decks. So if you want one of those, check the Patreon link in the description below for our memory markers for this month. So right here, our first baby is Argomon. I really like Argomon in green. I know several decks I play Argomon in, and I just love it. Getting that one memory is just so crucial, especially early on, because you can't always guarantee you're going to have your memory fixer on field. So having at guaranteed, like, early stages of the game, having a way to get a little bit of extra memory is really nice, and Argomon just really facilitates that. On top of that, with this deck, we typically suspend a lot of stuff so that way we can get the either the Sarismon onto the field or just using the Digizorption to suspend our own stuff to stair step quicker into our megas. So you typically do end up suspending a lot of your own stuff, even if you're not attacking with it. So triggering Argomon is actually really easy in this deck, so I just like having Argomon in green. Now, in my testing, I only had the 4 Argomons, but I needed more. With the Mimi burns through eggs so fast, especially early if you can get her out early game. So I went ahead and bumped it up to the 5 eggs. 5 eggs in green with Mimi is pretty common. I thought I could get away without it, and literally I regret it. I wish I had 5 eggs, just because of the constant digivolving and just bringing them out, and just that draw power is just really nice, as well as you're just essentially getting a free rookie onto field. And just a rookie onto field is actually really good when you have a lot of Digizorption going on, because you can suspend those rookies to stair step another tower up onto the field. So I went with just which one I thought would be the best one. And I had while this Digimon is level 6 or higher, it gets 1000 DP. So, like a Sarismon having that extra little buff on your turn, eventually you're going to want, once you clear your opponent's field, you're going to want to start swinging into security. And unfortunately, Sarismon, really, you can't just not swing with Sarismon. It's one of your tentpole pieces. It's really good for doing damage. So having the little bit of extra buff there for the DP, kind of important. So I went with this one ultimately, but it's really just there as a 5th egg to Digivolve on top of, if nothing else. Next up, we got Tentomon as our first rookie. I really like Tentomon. Just on play, you've revealed the top card of your deck. If it's green Digimon, add it to hand. Most of the deck is green Digimon. It's essentially our Gabumon that blue has, and this is just kind of our way to get kind of the same kind of draw going. 3 cost on play is pretty standard. We hard play a lot of rookies in this deck simply for the Digizorption, and getting an on-play effect is just really good. Next, we have Agumon. Agumon making it back into the deck after getting pulled there for a minute in one of our other green builds. Same thing, kind of argument with the Mochimon over here, was that Agumon, that 1000 DP buff is kind of matters. We're all about suspending our opponent's stuff using Sarismon and then swinging over it, whatever it is. Whether we're swinging over a Chaosmon with our own Chaosmon, or if we're using Nidhoggmon to swing over something, Sarismon to swing over something, having that 1000 DP buff is pretty crucial. So we're all about suspending our opponent's Digimon and then attacking over whatever's in our way. And having DP buffs, I feel, is pretty important. So Agumon definitely up there. Next, we got Goblymon. I like the 2-cost play rookies because I can play these for 2, suspend them for like a Digisorption of a level 5, and that, cuts down, or even a level 6 with the Sarismon. You're taking these big, massive, 3 Digivolve evolutions, and you're kind of cutting them down to 2 with hard playing the Goblymon first. Also, on top of that, you're not suspending your own Digimon, the big tentpole piece, to get this off. So you're not opening them up for either attacks, or you can still attack with them after you do it. So I really like the Goblymon. But I do like the Goblymon over the 5k DPs, because if this is all I have in my opening hand, I still would like to Digivolve it. The 2 play cost is important, but he's not here to like swing into things or survive things. He's just, I need a hard play 2 as well as a backup first turn Digivolve onto a baby Digimon. So 0 cost evolution I think is still important. Next, we've got 2 Terriermons. I'm a big advocate right now for memory blockers, and Terriermon is Green's version just because there's so many cards in the meta now where people can gain memory. Yellow has Blinding Ray, and that is hugely impactful. I know that whenever I play Yellow, I love going Blinding Ray, taking myself down to 4, and then swing with War Greymon, use War Greymon's ability to unsuspend himself, take myself down to 3 memory, or 3 security, and now I trigger all of Yellow's wonderful effects that happen when you're at 3 security exactly. So being able to stop your opponent from just doing that, getting that free memory off of it, you put them at 1, they play Blinding Ray, now they're at 3, now they can combo off, and yeah, it's just brutal. But not just them, Purple has Jack Raid now, and with Lilithmon coming back into the meta here in BT5, being able to shut down all of Purple's crazy memory gains and the crazy Lilithmon loops, that's all going to be very important to shut down. But even now, just the Jack Raid alone, that's their own way of gaining memory. Green, they've got Argomon and is it Stingmon, I believe, that also gains them a memory when they delete something. Green's got lots of stuff that they're doing that's gaining them memory back. Just more and more decks. Even Red still has Biomon that you can crash on their turn and they get a memory back. You just shut down all of that, and I think that's so important. We're going to get some options in the future that also gain memory like crazy, so being able to turn those options off is going to be so crucial. I like Terriermon, just sit on the field and just stop that. So you just leave them in the corner, let them block all the memory gaining, and you're wonderful. You don't even want to get me started on Blue and their freaking Hammer Spark. Alright, next up, we got Kabuterimon. This is our new blocker. 1-cost evolutions are already just incredible on level 4s. We love it. We want, just tons and tons of it. And also it being a blocker, no more that first turn. Do I go with the blocker first? Or do I go with the 1-cost and choke my opponent's memory first? Well, I don't know which I should do. Well, now it's a given. You use your 1-cost evolution blocker to get you there. 6 play cost is a little steep, but again, it's all about that 1 memory evolution there. Next up, I went with the Argomon for our level 4s. This is a Sarismon deck. Okay, would I normally play this in a deck? No. 2 cost evolution already not a big deal. Digisorption 2, it's okay. It's not the best. I'd rather just have a 1-cost evolution. But in the Sarismon deck, this is absolutely important. Not for yourself, but these level 4 Argomons are like my prime targets to suspend my opponent's Digimon with. Because we've only got a few of the level 5s that we can, get off of. Whereas at least with this Argomon, I can hard play a Goblymon, use my Sarismon to suspend my opponent's Digimon and go into this Argomon. Whereas if I only had my level 5s, that takes a lot more setup to get off. Whereas these Argomons are mostly here just for the Sarismon plays, but not only that, you can just use them as regular level 4s and just Digivolve up normal. The last video, I got a lot of hate for putting the Gargomon in over the Vegemon. Probably overall, that they were right. The Vegemon would be the better play. The 6,000 DP avoids the Nidhoggmon, and that alone is just incredibly crucial. So shout out to you guys. You convinced me. That was a big thing that I overlooked. those other decks were very heavy in digi-bursting, so you were getting rid of all these inheritables, so taking something with an inheritable didn't really matter in those decks. The one-cost evolution is a must, okay? Either way, whichever one you're looking at, Gargomon or Vegemon, that one-cost evolution is crucial. The Vegemon being one less on the play cost, you don't really want to hard play in Digiburst decks to a level 4 because, then you can't use your Digiburst abilities as well. But that 6k DP was pretty huge. However, for this deck, like I said, this is Sarismon. We're suspending our opponent's stuff. We need to be able to swing over that stuff once it gets suspended. So I went with the Gargomon here because, again, it's kind of like the same purpose of the Agumon, as well as kind of the Modimon here. We need a little bit more DP buffs, okay? Just a little bit to swing over. So Sarismon here is a 12k. And, you need just a little bit. There's going to be other Nidhogg's in the meta, so you need a little bit of a buff to get your own Sarismon over your opponent's Nidhoggmon, or even over your opponent's Chaosmons, because Chaosmons are everywhere in the meta. It doesn't matter which deck you're playing against. There's, if it's green or black, or Mega Zoo or whatever, there's going to be Chaosmons. They're out there in several decks, so being able just to have a couple ways to pump up your Sarismon to swing over those big threats. That's why I like the Gargomon for this deck in particular, okay? Now, you notice I am at 4 and 4 and 4. I went with the full 12 count here. Again, this Argomon, in a way, is almost like an option, not quite like a flower cannon. We're using it to suspend our opponent's Digimon, but we're also using it to level up with, to evolve into. So I did up the Argomon up to a 4 from a 3. Just because of the flexibility of use. It's got multiple uses aside from just stair-stepping to get into a 5 and a 6. We're using it for other purposes. And the ratio count just kind of worked out that I'd rather have one more Argomon than a random one-off card. We've already got the one-off card. If you're playing green, you know what I'm talking about. The one of that we, I guess there's two actually. The two one-ofs that we can't help but play. And then speaking of, we got Blossomon and our Argomon, Digisorption 3. Like, these are a staple in every green deck. Being able to save yourself 3 memory is big. Whether that be just for free or hard play a 2 and suspend the 2 to go into these. Then you keep your level 5, on field unsuspended. So then you can go into your 6 on top of this. Plenty of turns plenty of games where I had a level 4 on field, promoted my level 4 on turn 2, and then suspended, whatever else I had to go into the Blossomon or the Argomon for free. I'm still at 3 memory, and then I can go into my Mega on top of this for 3 memory, and it still be my turn to do stuff, swing with it, whatever it may be. So yeah, these guys are just incredible for that. People often forget that Argomon does have an inheritable, which makes it a little bit better than Blossomon. It's when attacking, you may play a level 3 green Digimon from your hand, suspended, without paying its memory cost. Good little cheap way to get Terriermon on field, just to kind of block your opponent. Whatever. Also sets you up for future turns. You can use your Tentomons here because it doesn't say they don't get their effects, so you can get your on-play effects from Tentomon. That's really cool. So yeah, just don't forget about this. It is there. I know we play it for the Digisorption 3 level 5s, but it does have a nice inheritable. And then our other 3 level 5s, I went with Cherrymon. Again, I'm still just a really big fan of Cherrymon over, something like Lalamon, who everyone talks about and raves about. It is good, but our goal is Sarismon, so we need our opponent's stuff unsuspended so that we can use the Sarismon to suspend their stuff. And I just felt like with Sarismon in the deck, like in full force, that Lalamon really kind of loses its appeal a little bit, at least in this deck in particular, focusing in on just suspending our opponent's stuff with the Digisorption and then swinging over it. Lalamon just really loses its appeal. So again, I went with the Cherrymon again at a 3 of to go inside with our Kabuterimon. That puts us at 7 blockers. If you go against green and its OTK strategy, having, guaranteed that you'll always have a blocker on field, even if you have to use your go with your Cherrymon on top of your Kabuterimon to pass turn, you still get to keep your blocker while also going up into a level 5. That is very, very cool. As well as just if you can't get into a Kabuterimon and, you can get up into a level 5, you can go into Cherrymon and get your blocker anyways. Any way to always just have more ways to getting into a blocker is really good, and Cherrymon being a 2-cost level 5 is already great, and it just having blocker on top of that is phenomenal. I mean, Red wishes they had this for theirs. They have to have vanillas for 2-cost evolutions, and Green just gets it on a blocker. Like, how amazing is that? So shutting down all those kind of decks is just really great. All right, next is our big hitters here. We've already talked about them a few times here. Sarismon, Digisorption 3, so you can actually make it a 2-cost evolution, which is really good. So again, we have 3 Mimi in deck. We want to get her onto the field as soon as possible in the game. I'd rather have her at 3 than 2 of, just to get that guaranteed 3 memory every, at the beginning of all my turns, as well as getting multiple egg hatches and draws and that sort of thing, as well as multiple rookies on field that I can use for Digisorptioning, suspending them. Mimi facilitates that. But Sarismon being a 2-cost evolution, you could actually go into a Sarismon, swing with it, do all your Sarismon plays, suspend your opponent's stuff with Digisorption, and then if you have like a hidden potential, you can go into Chaosmon for 1 memory, and it still be your turn. You can swing with the Chaosmon, swing Sarismon, swing with Chaosmon, and it still be your turn. Like, that's incredibly powerful, especially if Sarismon goes on top of like, an Argomon, then you're getting multiple things of value there. Some people were questioning about hidden potential. It says the next time one of your green Digimon digivolves this turn, you may suspend one of your Digimon to reduce the memory cost. What you digivolve into doesn't have to be green. So Chaosmon being a white is fine. It just says one of your green Digimon digivolves. So the Digimon is what's digivolving here, and it digivolves into this white one. So as long as your megas are green, you can go into a white Chaosmon using hidden potential. So just one of the really, really awesome combos. We were able to get it off. If you watch this week's match with this deck, literally that's like how we closed it out. Was we hidden potentialed, brought out a Chaosmon, went to 0 memory, swung, cleared the security, and then was still our turn at 0 memory, and we were able to swing for game with whatever level 4 we had on field. So yeah, just hidden potential with Chaosmon is pretty gnarly. Especially with, like I said, with Sarismon here being able to reduce itself down to 2, and because Mimi keeping us at 3, it's just a really good combo that it works out like that. Next up, it is a control heavy deck, and we've got Nidhogg here at 3 of. I like it at 3 of. I know a lot of people like it at, they feel comfortable at 2 of, but my thing is the whole idea behind this deck is control. So we bring out the Sarismon. The Sarismon suspends all of our opponent's stuff, right? So say you have a rookie on field, and you use Sarismon to go into Argomon, suspend one of your opponent's things, and then use Sarismon again to bring out a Blossomon or another Argomon, suspend something else of your opponent's. Then you drop the Nidhogg on top of that, and you've already suspended, probably whatever big things your opponent had that normally Nidhogg can't suspend with his own ability. So being able to suspend them first with Sarismon and then bring out the Nidhogg to just clear the board is very, very powerful. I definitely have done it several times, and it's just a great setup. Once you get that Sarismon out, it just starts making plays, like crazy plays. Whether you're just suspending stuff to swing over it normally, or you're suspending stuff that's really big and a threat like Millenniummon. That's what we were able to clear Millenniummon with Nidhoggmon, and that feels good because normally Millenniummon would just come back because of the on-deletion effect, but it just gets put to the bottom of the deck, which isn't deleting. So Nidhogg, great for clearing very problematic things. Something that Alter S just could never do. Alter S would de-digivolve 1, but taking a 7 to a 6, or even a 6 to a 5, still usually wasn't going to bring it into killable range for Alter S. Whereas Nidhogg is like, okay, I've got Sarismon to back me up, I've got Flower Cannon to back me up, I've got Needle Spray to back me up. Green has Nidhogg's back. When it comes to setting up for your Nidhogg to just blow your opponent out, Green has the tools to do it. All right, Chaosmon, we already talked about that. It's just really powerful. It gets piercing. Also, when digivolving, unsuspend this Digimon, then it can attack your opponent's Digimon. remember, it has to attack opponent's Digimon. You can't, if your opponent's board is cleared, you can't just attack them for face, for game, or anything like that. So make sure you leave something on field for it to go into. So kind of just like order of operations there, just making sure you play things in the right order. Chaos Monster's really cool. Mimi, we've already covered Mimi. Alright, and Hidden Potential, we've already covered Hidden Potential. It's just incredibly powerful. Whether you go into a Chaosmon for 1 and keep it on your turn, you go into Nidhoggmon for free because you reduce his 5 down to a 0. You know, clear your opponent's board, and now swing with the Nidhoggmon, and then Digivolve the Chaosmon to pass your turn on top of the Nidhoggmon to get another swing in. Just Hidden Potential really just makes plays. But you only got the 1, so you really need to make it count. Don't just fire it off, you know, just because you can. Just save it for the big plays. Lastly, Needle Spray. So I talked about this in my last green deck. I'm going to cover it here too, though. Its main effect is the same as Flower Cannon, right? Suspend one of your opponent's Digimon, whatever it is. The difference comes in on the security effect. Normally, people's go-to thought is, okay, it's only one target can get suspended, other than Flower Cannon, which suspends everything. But Flower Cannon doesn't suspend blockers. This can suspend blockers. That's already a step up. I don't know how many games where it's been like a blocker was the saving grace for my opponent. And also, this current meta, it's all about building these big, tall towers to Digiburst away stuff. You don't see these big, huge, wide fields in this meta. Not right now. Come BT5, maybe with Yellow. Yellow's going to like to go a little bit wider. But right now, Needle Spray is killing it, like for sure. But the saving grace of this card, I mean, like, that alone isn't quite enough, just being able to spend a blocker instead of, you know, the whole field. It's adding it to hand. Adding it to hand is just a good way to get that resource. You don't just lose it, okay? If it has no target, or if it does have a target, whatever, you know, you don't just lose it to the trash afterward. You get to put it in your hand. And I think that in itself is incredibly valuable, especially in a green deck where you're playing stuff like Nidhoggmon, where being able to set up that play where you Needle Spray that big, huge, problematic card and then going into Nidhoggmon to put it to the bottom of the deck. Just having that resource in hand, because at a 3-of, it gets a little more difficult to draw just innately. 3-of is pretty solid. You'll see, you should see it draw into it at some point. But just being able to also, if it goes into your security, you can get it out by when it triggers and adding it to your hand just to make sure you get that value. And I think that's in itself, just getting to add it to hand to guarantee you don't just lose it so you can actually play it is just in itself is incredibly, incredibly valuable. I've seen more value come out of that, just being able to add it to hand, than it being able to actually suspend something in security. Yeah, crazy, right? That just the getting it added to hand is more valuable than it's actually suspending something effect, just because you can play it, hard play it later. And that's the overall deck. Like I said, it's just a control-heavy deck. Ceresmon uses all of its Digivolutions down here to suspend stuff of your opponents, and then you can either just use the DP buffs that we've got in the deck to swing over it with the Ceresmon itself, or, you know, the Gargomon, the Agumon, the baby there, or you just use Nidhogg to clear the whole board. Whichever strategy, you know, it works best for you. And then once your opponent, you basically just keep out-resourcing your opponent. Your opponent just keeps trying to build and build into these big, important things, and they're going to eventually run out of resources. Their hand is going to dwindle, and that's the point when you want to start striking, right? You want to start clearing their board, and once their board is cleared and their resources in their hand are low, they can't really make any good plays, then you just start clearing their security just very, very easily. With even if you hit into something big and lose something on your field, you've already cleared so much of your opponent's stuff that you have time to build back up, because they're set so far behind now because you've cleared so much that you give yourself some leeway that even if you lose something big, you can just build back up again. If there's ever anything that, I didn't cover well, or if you have questions, definitely put that in the comments below. Also, if you have an idea that's better than mine, like I said, let me know. I don't mind. I mean, as long as you're not just being mean and hateful about it. But like the conversation about Gargomon versus Vegemon, that was a good, insightful conversation, and it really helped me as well as other players could read the thread and see, okay, that is a good point. I like that just a little bit better than what was in the video. And then, we can all come together and then build these really powerful decks just by bouncing ideas off of each other. And I think that's what's great about the comment section of any video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you would, please like the video and subscribe. Just a little bit of help goes a super long ways. It helps the channel out tremendously, gets my videos out there, gets them seen. And if you really, really want to support the channel, check out the links in the description below. I'll have a link for my Patreon, which is displayed right here. You can get access to my Discord server that I have, as well as you can get the memory markers that we've had. These are just a few of my favorites from the past that we've had. The current one, Impmon's baby, as well as Gabumon's baby as well, Sunomon and Yaomon. These guys are super adorable. I definitely love them so much. And every month a new one changes out, so make sure you check that out. As well as we have our new playmats. This is why I recreated this video. It's because our playmats are here finally, and they are super cool. I alternate between the black and white every single month for whoever wants to support this tier, as well as I have a tier just higher than that, so that way you don't also have to lose out on a memory marker. You can get both the memory marker and the playmat just in case you want both. Super awesome support from everyone that has supported in the past and who will support in the future. You guys are awesome. Also, if you want to check out my merch, my Teespring link is in the description below for that. We've got, the shirts that I wear on the channel that has the logo across. I love when I see people representing my merch in public. It is like one of the coolest feelings I've ever had in my entire life. Very, very awesome. As well as phone cases for you people that love Digimon like so much like I do. A friend of mine custom made all these to fit these specific phone cases themselves, so the prices are a little bit higher just because I have to pay her back, as well as make a little tiny bit of profit because of how much unfortunately they take for their cut for Teespring. But like I said, if you can't do any of that, please just like the video and subscribe to the channel. Every time we hit a new mile marker for subscriptions, I give out free merch of all different types. 2000K, I think we're doing one of the playmat giveaways, so definitely be subscribed and ready for when that comes.